Hey, Doc Testa here, Chief Health and Wellness Consultant for Pine Pollen Superfoods and Train for Longevity. Today I want to talk about the Prolon Fasting Mimicking Diet. You may have seen this. It's been in the news. It's been out there. FMD, Fasting Mimicking Diet. Now, Valter Longo, give him all the credit, and his team out of USC has researched fasting in single-celled organisms, in yeast, in mice, in rodents, and then his team and colleagues around the world using primates and to some extent humans. And so preclinical data, and we'll talk about that, and the clinical data on the Prolon Fasting Mimicking Diet is interesting. Now, what is a fasting mimicking diet, right? Fasting generally means no nutrient intake. Now, fasting mimicking is a way that you can eat certain foods and your body thinks it's in a fasted state. It's mimicking fasting. So what does this fasting mimicking diet look like? It's low calorie, below 800 calories for 4 days. One day is 1,100 calories. And it's low protein. So that's another important thing here. It's moderate amount of fat and carbohydrates, but it's the low protein, low calorie, largely, unless you consider honey, it's a plant-based diet. And so Prolon has put together a 5-day fasting mimicking diet, and it comes with food that you can eat. You don't have to think about. And what comes in this? There are teas, there are olives, delicious olives, there are nut bars, and there are vegetarian plant-based soups. So this is what you get to eat. It's all prepackaged. It's dehydrated soups. The olives are delicious. The nut bar, absolutely delicious. And you can eat these 3 meals a day and still have your body think it's in a fasted state. It goes over a 5-day period. Again, you start out with 1,100 calories and then you drop it for the remainder 4 days. I've done this about a half a dozen times now, and I enjoy doing this because for me, it really, and for people I've worked with, it really seems to reset the hunger pathways, the junk food pathways. You're not inclined to want to eat a lot of sweets or overeat when you're done with this. It gets your body into a ketosis state where it starts to burn fat because you're not adding a lot of excess calories. And so when the body's hungry, it looks to the extra stored energy in our body, which is fat. And it starts to consume this for fuel and using ketones for energy for our brain. And you get into a state of ketosis. Now, what's also great about this, after about 2 days, your body gets into what's called autophagy. And that is where the body starts to clean up old, dead, dying, weak cells that we all have as we age. And it consumes those for energy. The body knows it's running out of fuel, and so rather than consuming muscle, which it does not do, it'll consume fat and these useless cells. It's a great way to clean house and get these old cells out of you, because these old senescent cells use up energy. They don't produce anything good. If anything, they produce stress and bad things. The cells around those cells sense that, and they in turn become stressed out and unproductive. So it's a great way to clean house. Now, after a few days of that, the body knows that it needs to rebuild itself. And so maybe on days 4, 5, and following for up to 90 days, the body releases stem cells, and these stem cells rebuild themselves. Now, how do we know this? So they've looked at a 3-cycle of fasting in humans, and they've measured this stuff. And USC did a good study where they took just regular people like you and me, did a 5-day Prolon Fasting Mimicking Diet, 1 week a month for 3 months, and they measured improvements in inflammatory markers, insulin, glucose, lipids. And then they also saw on the other end of that an increase in hemopoietic and mesenchymal stem cells. These help rebuild the body. And they even followed these people 90 days later. The majority of them maintained the benefits of that series of fasting. They didn't have them go back to any kind of special diet. That's just their regular diet. But even at 90 days, many people maintained the results of the Prolon Fasting Mimicking Diet. So if you're new to fasting, talk to your doctor about this. This is a great way to get in where you can still eat. Remember, I think fasting's got a spiritual component to it. It reminds you that you can get through tough times. You're not dying. It reminds you that you're only hungry for certain periods of time. You get through it. And it helps you focus on things other than pleasurable eating. Many of us, including myself, we do things to avoid pain. We do things to reward ourselves when we just feel like we need to reward ourselves when we got through something difficult. We eat when we're stressed, when we're anxious, when we're depressed, when we're angry. And so fasting has this spiritual component that lets you sit with that discomfort and realize that it is not you and that you can get past it. It always goes away. So Prolon Fasting Mimicking Diet. If you want to do some Prolon Fasting coaching with us, we can do that here. Just look for it on our Train for Longevity page. If you found this valuable, we put out a lot of other great content like this, like our YouTube channel, and we'll continue to send out great content like this. So hope this is helpful. Prolon Fasting Mimicking Diet. We'll see you in the next video.